Hi guys, my name is Stanley and today we're talking about how to pick a camera for action photography. So you decide to get into action photography to take pictures of birds or sport events, but you need to know which camera to buy. There's so many camera and lens choices and you don't know which brand to go with. So I'm going to teach you what to look for when buying a camera and lens for action photography. The most important thing for the camera is FPS, frames per second it can take, not in movie mode, with full resolution, the number of autofocusing points and the spread of the autofocusing points, the megapixels and the speed of the autofocusing points. Before you look, be aware that the most overrated feature that I've heard from beginners or non-photographers is FPS. Everybody only seems to care about FPS, but that's not it. Okay, so if your camera cannot recognize the object when you're trying to focus in the viewfinder in continuous autofocusing, then the following points don't matter. Your camera cannot do action. So first, you're going to have a decent number of autofocusing points. If you have a DSLR, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to just get 30. Mirrorless will easily get you 150 plus autofocusing points, even at the low end. But remember, they might actually not be as fast. We'll talk about that later. If your autofocusing points are not fast enough, then even if you have thousands, they won't be enough because your camera won't be able to focus. So you need to make sure your autofocusing points are quick and snappy. Third, you need to see if your camera can pick up the object quick enough. The quicker, the better. Also, you need the autofocusing points to be located all the way across the frame. If in the middle, it will make your job harder and make the autofocusing process slower because you'll have to position it in the middle, focus, and wait for it to focus. If it's all spread out, you just have to get it somewhere in the frame and it will start autofocusing and then you can crop in post. You also need megapixels because if you crop and you don't have the megapixels, then your image will be grainy. Okay, so now you can choose a lens, and the most important factor for choosing lens for action is focal length, aperture, and autofocusing speed. The most important thing for all action is focal length. If you don't have enough focal length, then you're going to have to crop, and that goes back up to megapixels. If you don't have a camera like the D850 or a camera like the A7R3, then you're probably only going to have less than 30 megapixels. That's not a lot of cropping room, and I would only go about 2 times crop. Because every time in post, if you use some post-processing software, then every time you adjust something, you need raw. And if every time you adjust something, it just becomes more grainy and grainy and grainy and grainy. At least in my experience for the Sony a6000 RAW and JPEGs. Next, if your aperture is not wide enough or low enough, you can get underexposed images. But if you're using shutter priority, then your ISO is going to be bumped up to the 6000 range, which is more grain. And if you crop, you can see that grain. You can see a lot of the grain. And so yeah, you need to properly expose your images. And then third, this is not as common, but sometimes your autofocusing speed is not on par of that the camera can provide. For example, if your camera can focus super fast, like let's say 0.5 milliseconds, that's not fast, but 0.5 milliseconds takes the autofocusing. But if your lens can only do 0.6, then your total autofocusing speed will be 0.6. Okay, so now you're going to pick up a lens and camera. So soon, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to see my next part of the series, taking actual photos with your camera and which settings to use. Bye!